Can you remember those glorious Saturday mornings as a kid before the internet and YouTube? They're filled with cartoons, right? And yeah, that was the thing to do on a Saturday morning. But you know what show really rocked my world and taught me a thing or two? Captain Planet. And that theme song was really an earworm.
Go Planet!
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
Ah, the good old days of Saturday morning cartoons. Just can't beat them. But seriously, Captain Planet and the Planeteers weren't just any old Saturday morning cartoon squad. They were eco-warriors, mentors, and they taught us about teamwork, conservation, and what's important about caring for Mother Earth. And so what does this all have to do with resin art and Captain Planet? Well, a bit of guilt really. You see, resin is just another form of plastic, and I feel a bit guilty about creating resin art, especially if there's any waste left over. I'm all about the resin life, but what do you do with those leftover bits and bobs? You don't chuck them in the trash. Not on my watch, not with Captain Planet ringing in my ears.
The power is yours!
Reduce, reuse, recycle. We're going to take those leftover resin scraps and we're going to make a new creation. So we're going to turn some trash into treasure. The key to having scraps to be able to reuse in different resin artwork is by doing your artwork and all your pouring on top of silicon. This makes it easy to be able to just peel off that excess resin and then get to the tedious task of cutting it up so that you can use it in future artwork. I like to separate my resin scrap into complementary colours. Now it's easiest to do this when you're actually doing that initial cutting. So in this cup here I've got greens and blues, and that's the perfect combination for this jewellery tray mould that I'm filling up. So this process is pretty simple. All you have to do is just arrange the pieces of scrap resin into the mould so that it's nice and uniform and has the colour combinations that you want. Of course, it always helps to give that mould a little bit of a shake just to get those resin scraps into all the nooks and crannies. Once we have all those resin scraps arranged how we want them, it's time for the clear resin pour. And so this is just basically slowly pouring so that resin seeps down into all those nooks and crannies. Now one of the really hard bits to deal with doing something like this is that it's very easy to trap air bubbles. So we're going to try our best to get the air bubbles out, but I know that there will definitely be a few sneak in here. Alright, time to shake it like you mean it and just ensure that we've got resin into all parts of the silicone mould. Of course, if there's bits of scrap resin in places that you think will look better in other areas, you can just move those around. Also a good opportunity to try to get out any air bubbles and ensure that we've got scrap resin down the sides of the mould. I'm going to hit those stubborn air bubbles with some blue flame and hopefully get most of those ones that are on the surface there. So now it's time to demold our recycled resin that we've put into this tray. So this mold here you can see, and we're going to see how it came up. So the cool thing about using recycled resin bits is that it displaces the clear resin that you put in, so you use less clear resin when creating your new artwork. So let's just demold this and see how that came up. Do notice an air bubble or two. Unfortunately, sometimes when you do these, you try to get all the air bubbles, but air bubble or two. Just a couple of air bubbles here, which obviously were trapped under some of the resin pieces. But overall, I'm really happy with that. So here we are, saving the planet by reusing old resin scraps to make something new and beautiful. And this jewellery tray I think looks pretty cool, just with the blue and the greens here that we've managed to reuse. Also, just going to take this opportunity that if you do like this video, then please give us a thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber already, I'd love for you to follow this channel where we create things from resin and other fluid art. By repurposing resin scraps into colourful art, I'm not only reducing waste, but I'm also expressing my creativity, and I'm honouring the teachings of my childhood superhero, Captain Planet. So remember, every little action can make a difference. Together we can be planeteers and create a brighter future and more sustainable future for generations to come.
The power is yours!